Robert Taylor.
I'm Robert Taylor. I live at 1735 Blackwood Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee. I originally wasn't going to speak this evening. I was just here to listen and support my fellow educators. Commissioner Norman, your opening remarks inspired me to come up here and speak before the entire commission. I'll be winging it tonight, so I hope you all will bear with me if I stutter too much. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable in this forum speaking specifically about any Knox County practices or policies. What I can speak about without a script is my story, and it starts out a little oddly. In 1991, I bought a mountain bike. A week later, I decided to enter a mountain bike race to get the free T-shirt. 4 miles into it, I was on the side of the trail throwing up all over myself. I thought, that's not acceptable. This was in 1991. In 2003, I retired as a professional endurance athlete. That's the kind of person I am. I will not accept anything than the best from myself for anything that I undertake. I can say the same for my fellow educators sitting behind me this evening. Ever since I left college, I took pride in accepting the most difficult jobs that I could find and giving all of my effort into doing my very best at those jobs. I have worked as a child abuse investigator. I've worked in inpatient mental health, inpatient drug and alcohol. I've worked in a level 4 juvenile correctional institution, working with juvenile felons, teaching them how to climb and rappel. I've worked in special ed in various capacities, originally subcontracted through a community mental health center. Since the late 90s, I was hired into Knox County proper in 2003 as a behavior liaison. I got my current teaching assignment in 2006, I believe, and the reason I took that assignment was because I had heard the teacher had walked out because of the difficulty of the classroom. I thought if anyone can take that classroom and earn the right to call themselves a behavior specialist, which is what I was called, it should have been me, and I'm still there. I took that classroom over. I was told by a former principal that I was one of the best special education teachers in Knox County, and I still believe that that is true. I've had many of the most difficult and challenging special ed students sent to my classroom specifically because I was the teacher, and they have been successful, and I'm sure that those students and their parents would agree with that statement. When the team evaluation rubric came about, I thought, well, it's change, and as we're all fond of hearing, change is hard. I did the best I could for my students. I wasn't very worried either when a supervisor told me that as I teach what's called a failing subgroup based on their test scores, as most special ed classrooms will be, that I would probably be lucky to score a rock-solid 3, lest I be an outlier, which administrators don't like. I still did the best for my students. I still felt that I was successful. My classroom is a multi-age classroom. I have kindergartners and 5th graders. Right now, my youngest student is 5. My oldest is 13. I teach 5 grade levels at the same time. The students are with me all day long, every day. I'm evaluated by the same rubric as a 12th grade chemistry teacher or as a 2nd grade regular ed teacher. I still do my best for my children. As Apex was introduced, I worked a few extra hours, 2-3 hours extra a night, 5 or 6 hours over the course of the weekend, planning for the multiple grades that I teach, aligning my lessons with the rubric, and doing the best for my kids. I also coached baseball. 2 years in a row, I coached my son to our league's championship. I was served as the pitcher for our team and proudly threw my son his first home run. Another, great moment for me, not even related to school. I was able to score some 3s and 4s the next year. I earned an Apex bonus. I continued to plan for my students 3-4 hours a night, sometimes up to 18 hours on the weekend. Coached my son and our team to another league championship. As the pressure continued from mandates that some from Nashville, some locally, of what teachers were expected to do and how that would be measured and what that needed to look like in the classroom, I began to spend even more time I could no longer have the time to coach. I took my son out of baseball to spend more time doing what was right for my students and to meet Knox County's expectations. This past year, I sat by my sister and my mother and watched my stepdad pass away on April 25th at 6:26 a.m. I was back in my classroom that same day by 10:30 to ensure that my weekly lesson plan was being followed so that my students would be on task and on schedule if I were to have received an unannounced observation. Also that spring, I was informed that my wife wished to file for divorce in a large part due to my unavailability as a husband and as a father to our children. I'm not saying that any of these problems are the result of any administrator, any policy, any supervisor. These are a result of my own choice to advance, perform, and excel. The Apex bonus I received this year was just enough to pay my outstanding medical bills for stress-related illness. And I can tell the Commission this: those two $1,500 checks were not worth it. I would sign them right back over to our superintendent tonight if I could have my health and my family back. And I'll finish. I know that coming up here before you and saying such personal things will probably lead me to be criticized and ridiculed. If you've ever seen the reader comments in the Knoxville News Sentinel, you all probably know what's coming, but I don't speak for myself. I'm a lifelong resident of Knox County Schools, and these teachers behind me are some of the best people I know. I know that I do not speak only for them and for me, but for the over 4,000 teachers, the over 3,000 teachers that responded to the survey. I know that I speak for them as well. Thank you.